Welcome back to the Israel Ramos Show, where I bring up important topics in today's troubled world that we live in, and I do the best of my ability to address the issues of the topics that I bring up and address. Today I'm going to talk about how to have a successful relationship. How to have a successful relationships. The pros and the cons in having a successful relationship. The things that we should and shouldn't do in a relationship in order to achieve a successful relationship. First, I want to say that I've had a couple of relationships in my life. I don't want to say how many because it doesn't really matter. I've had enough relationships to address this issue, and I've learned a lot from having different relationships with beautiful women who had different issues, and of course, I'll always cherish the memories because that's very, very important. And as you live life, as I live life, I've learned so much. Sometimes you make mistakes, and you look back, you reflect, and you wish you wouldn't have done certain things or said certain things. And one of the most important thing in order for a person to have a successful relationship is that it's very important that we take responsibility for the things that we say and do, and the things that we shouldn't have said, and the things that we shouldn't have done. And that's a big issue in today's world that we live in today, troubled world, is that people hold on to their pride and not being willing to humble yourself when you claim to love this person. Whether it's the guy or the girl, it doesn't matter. It's usually vice versa. We have to love ourselves and the person enough to take responsibility for the things that we shouldn't have said and shouldn't have done. Again, whether it's the girl or the guy, you can't just blame it on the girl or blame it on the guy. Sometimes it's more the guy and sometimes it's more the girl. It all depends on the relationship. But it is important for that person to take responsibility for the things that they shouldn't have done and said. And being trusting somebody is so important. When you're in a relationship, if you're in a relationship with someone that doesn't trust you, then it's time to say bye bye. And the reason I say this is because I've had my experiences with that, and it's so important for us to address the issue with that person and bring it to that person's attention and say, listen, if this keeps on like this and you don't trust me, then there's no reason for us to continue in the relationship. Because that person has no right to be constantly who texted you, who called you, where were you, what did you do last week, what did you do last night. They're wear the line when they behave like that because now they're being obsessed with you. And it is very dangerous to be in a relationship with someone that's obsessed with you, with someone that's trying to control you. And whether it doesn't matter whether you're married or you're not married. No one has a right to try to control you. No one has a right to constantly be on top of you and interrogating you because they don't trust you. If they really care about you, they need to stop. And if they have areas in their life where it's hard for them because they're very insecure, if they have insecurity issues, if they love you enough and you still want to be with them, they need to seek help. There's a lot of great support groups that you can find online. Google it, and in those support groups, they'll help you overcome being insecure. Being insecure and you take that insecurity in a relationship, it's very, very destructive. Because now this person that you're constantly interrogating and making them feel uncomfortable because you don't trust them can no longer be themselves anymore. You have to love that person enough to trust that person and love yourself enough. Listen, if that person's going to fail you, they're going to fail you under the same roof. It doesn't matter where you are. If they decide they don't want to love you, they have the God-given right. Just because you're married to that person doesn't give you any right to think that you own that person. I'm not going to say any names because I'm not going to bash anybody. But I've had to tell some girls, listen, you don't own me. Because sometimes you could really get people when you're very kind to them and very loving. And sometimes people take your kindness for weakness. When they start thinking they want to control you. Now, I'm not saying every girl is like that. Because there's a lot of guys out there that are like that are very obsessed with a girl, very controlling, and that's not love. That's just being obsessed with the person, and it's a very insecure thing to do, and that's not love. Love is when you could take a bird, feed it, show it love, and let it go. Allow the bird to be a bird. If the bird wants to fly, let it fly. If the bird decides that it wants to come back home, it will fly back to you. And you can ask this to anybody that flies pigeons. Any experienced person that loves pigeons and birds, and they feed them on the roof, those birds come back because they always come back where they feel secure, where they feel safe. I mean, there's a great movie out there. I think it's called Sleeping with the Enemy. Julia Roberts is in it. She plays this wife who's married to this husband who's very obsessed with her, to the point where I don't even want to give away the movie, but like I say, I highly recommend it because it really addressed the issue, how dangerous it is to be in a relationship like that. And I was, I actually, when I was a New York City yellow cab driver, I had the opportunity to meet Julia Roberts, and she is a wonderful person. She's very humble. She is the way she is in the movies. She's a very wonderful person. And when I met her, she didn't have kids. Now she has kids. God bless her. I haven't seen her in years, and I've had more opportunities to pick her up in my yellow cab, but I always have passengers. Um, and I also met the actor who played the school teacher in the movie Sleeping with the Enemy. But the point is that it's so important that you're in a relationship. If that relationship is going to grow, that you have trust. See, what I've always told my young ladies, listen, if you ever fall out of love with me, let me know. Because I love you enough to let you go. I love myself and love you enough to let you go. Because that's what love is. See, there's a song that came out. It's called I Want to Know What Love Is. I can't remember right now the name of the singer, but it's an incredible song. Because he wants to know what love is. That's a very moving, encouraging, positive song. Because this man, in a song, he's addressing that he's humble, that he wants to know what love is. I want to know what love is. I want you to show me. I got so much love. I mean, he's just saying that he wants to know how to use his love. Teach him. He wants to find the right woman to show him what love is. And I'll tell you what love is. Love is when you trust somebody enough, where you're not constantly interrogating them and on top of them, like you want to control them and constantly ask them who texted you, who called you, where you are, who is that you're talking to. No, trust the person. If they're going to fail you, they're going to fail you no matter what. You have to realize that there's too many men and too many women out there for you to lose your head, your mind over one person. Always reserve that space. Always reserve a space for you, God, and Jesus in prayer. You should always, whether you're a Christian or not, but I'm going to share my faith anyway, because I'm never ashamed of Jesus. Jesus said, if you're ashamed of me, when I come back with my holy angels and my holy Father, I'll be ashamed of you. I don't ever want to be ashamed of Jesus. I want to love God and Jesus first by doing my best to stay away from sin. Sin is when you know the right thing to do and you don't do it. And that's gossiping, making fun of people, criticizing people, being judgmental, not being willing to forgive, to share, etc., etc. So I do the best of my ability to know that life is not just about Israel. Life is about that if I'm walking the streets and I see a homeless guy, if he's willing to talk to me, I'll buy him some food. You can wear a mask if you're afraid of catching anything. Sometimes the homeless guy may need somebody to talk with, somebody to listen to him, to encourage him. I want to be known when I leave this planet. What did Israel do with his time? Was he an encourager? Did he empower people, or did he live for himself? No. I want to know that I made a difference. I may not change the world, but I made a difference. And anybody that passed through my life, I may not be perfect, but I do my best to learn from my mistakes. And the only way we're going to learn from our mistakes if we take responsibility for the things that we know we shouldn't have said to someone or done to someone. Because I grew up with people saying to me when I was a kid, I'm not going to say no names, I don't want to bash anyone, and nobody's going to change me. I'm going to be the way I am and no one's going to change me because I'm going to be who I am. I got news for you. That's fiddlesticks. Because people that don't receive constructive criticism will never grow. Will never grow. They'll stay stagnated right there. It's like if you wear the same clothes every day. Eventually you're gonna stink. And you're gonna start getting rashes and infections on your body. You need to shower every day and change clean clothes. So people that stay stagnate are people that have that attitude that no one's gonna change them. Again, people who do not receive constructive criticism will never grow. See, the Bible says if you correct a wise person, whether it's a man or a woman, they will become even wiser. But why? Because a wise person is willing to be corrected. A wise person is willing to take responsibility for the things that they say and do. People like that are achievers. They're achievers. They achieve things. They're not perfect, but they achieve things. They become leaders because they're willing to take responsibility for the things that they shouldn't say. And that's going back to the person that you offended and saying, I'm really sorry. Not, I apologize, and that's it. No, I'm very sorry. Even if you have to cry, because it takes a real person, man or woman, sometimes to share a tear. Let them know your remorse. You're sorry. And you didn't mean, and you'll never do it again. And if that person chooses still not to talk to you, then it's their loss. You move forward. Like I said, there's too many men and too many women in the world, and the world is a huge place. To have a lot of countries with a lot of beautiful women, a lot of beautiful men, for you to die for one person. So not only do you gotta trust the person, but you should have trust, but you should also have respect. Respect the person. Just because you don't agree on everything gives you no right to disrespect the person. You have to agree to disagree. You have to say, look, hey, even though we're not gonna agree on everything, I still love you. I still respect you. I still validate you. You're still important to me. That's why I don't really like to discuss religion or politics with people, because there's some people that are way too immature to talk about religion or politics. That's the thing I love about Elvis Presley. He wasn't perfect, But when it came to those things, he was very wise. When they asked Elvis, what do you think about, they asked him a political question, and Elvis Presley said, well, I'm just an entertainer. I like to keep my political views to myself. I'm just an entertainer. And he's smart in saying that because he understood that you're never going to satisfy everybody. But I highly recommend, if you want to avoid arguments, if you really don't know the person, people that you really don't know, is not too wise to discuss religion, to discuss religion or politics. Stay away from that. You save yourself a whole lot of trouble because you're not going to be able to satisfy. It's like movie critics. They're never satisfied. I'm an independent filmmaker. I believe in doing good movies. I stick with the story. If I shoot a love scene, I shoot the love scene. I don't feel like I have to show body parts. I go to the next scene. People know what goes in the bedroom. I don't have to show them, you know, like they did in the 19 movies in the 1930s. They go into the room, bam, goes to the next scene. Stick to the story, man. Anyway, I don't want to get off the issue. Love, respect, trust. Respect is so important that you respect the person. You don't always have to agree on everything, but still validate them and respect them. Be kind to the person. Take the person out. Don't make excuses why you don't want to take the person out. Because if you don't take time to spend with this person and all you think about is making money, guess what's going to happen? Bye-bye. The person's going to say that to you. It's going to say, bye-bye. Because people need to be loved. Again, Elvis Presley's wife left Elvis Presley. They spread it apart. They, they fell out of love because Elvis wasn't spending enough time with Priscilla. And I'm not saying this to badmouth Elvis Presley because I'm an Elvis Presley fan. But Elvis Presley had everything that a person could want. He was a very handsome man. He was very talented. And he was very famous and had a lot of money. But that wasn't enough for Priscilla. And you could see it in the interviews. Because she needed a man in her life to be there for her emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And if a man is not there for a woman in those areas that I mentioned, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, guess what's going to happen? There's not going to be any love. The woman or the man, whether it's the woman or the man, if the woman doesn't give the man that or the man doesn't give her that, they're going to go look for it somewhere else. And that's why you have so many people going from relationship to relationship because there's things in that relationship they didn't fulfill. You know, Another thing, trying to control the person. That is not love. You thinking you're going to control that girl or that guy, you better think again. Because that's destructive. That is not love. Don't try to control the person. You don't own that person. You never will own that person. Whether you have kids with them or not. Whether you have kids, whether you're married, you don't own that person. That person, whether you're married to them or not, could decide to say, bye-bye. The only person that owns that person is the Creator, the God of the heaven and earth, God of the universe, the God of the Bible. And even God doesn't try to act like He owns us. He gives us a free will to choose what is right and wrong. But in the end, I believe we'll be judged for the things that we did. Because we had a free will, I believe God will ask us, what did you do with the time that I gave you? So it's so important that we empower people. Like Barry Manilow sings in a song. It's called, what is it called, that song? Somewhere Down the Road. He said, I think it goes like this. Letting go is just another way to say I'll always love you so. See, I love when Barry Manilow sings that. Somewhere down the road, I know our love will come. He's trying to say that I loved you enough to let you go. Letting go is just another way To say I'll always love you so. That's Barry Manilow. You can check him out. Somewhere down the road, I think it's called. But don't try to control the person because you will never own that person. You did not give life to that person. That person, whether it was a man or woman, had a mother that carried them 9 months. And even the mothers try to control them, even though there are mothers out there or fathers that probably have those issues. But I'm not talking about that today. Any relationship, actually, no one should try to control. But if you want to have a successful relationship, you have to validate that person. You should compliment that person. Being a good listener is also important. That's a lot of complaints that I've heard from women. Men don't listen. I don't want to just pick on men. Maybe there's some women that don't listen either. But whoever needs to listen more needs to listen. Everyone should be quick to listen and slow to speak. Quick to listen and slow to speak. It's in the Bible, in James. I think it's chapter 2. James chapter 2. Why is it so important to be quick to listen and slow to speak? Because if you take time to listen to the person that's speaking, you will be able to reply, give them a better response. A lot of times people are talking and all they want to do is express their opinion. Okay, you're excited. Fine. Control yourself. If you really love this person and validate them, listen to them first. So you'll be able to understand what they're saying, what they're trying to say, and you'll be able to respond better. How in the world are you going to respond better if all you want to do is talk? So being a good listener, whether it's a guy or a girl, it doesn't matter. They both should listen to each other and allow someone to talk. This is why when they have presidential debates of candidates who are running for presidency or governor or whatever, or mayor, and they have debates, they have someone who's an interceder who says, okay, you're allowed to talk 3 minutes, and then after 3 minutes, stop and allow the person to respond. Because otherwise they get out of control. That's why they have, someone supervising the debates, the political debates, because otherwise these people get out of control and they start talking on top of each other. So it's very important that we listen to what the person is saying. It doesn't matter who they are. In a relationship, it's important to listen so you'll be able to respond better because that's what love is. All these things that I'm mentioning, respect, trust, being a good listener, that's love. Love is not just giving them a birthday card, a present, or buying them a car. Yeah, that's love. But it's how you treat the person. Complimenting them. Maybe giving them a massage, taking them out. Not always trying to control everything. Like if I'm going to go out with a girl to see a movie, I tend to want to please her and say, well, what movie would you like to see? And then eventually she'll say, well, last time we went to see one movie I wanted, what about you? Or we'll just talk about it. And I let her know I'm not going to argue with my girl or my wife about what color curtain should I have. What should we get? No, let the woman decide. That there's certain things in the house you should just let your wife let her whatever curtain she wants, whatever color she wants. Certain things not worth arguing about. And people get really stupid. If a person scratched their car, they get out of the car, they want to kill the person over a stupid car that if you die tomorrow, you're not taking it with you. Or when people walk around and they think they can treat women like garbage just because they have money, are you kidding me? Are you full of yourself? You need to get a reality check. Well, if you die tomorrow, your money's not going to save you. It doesn't matter if you're famous. Your fame is not going to save you. Fame is a delusion, man. You're a star. That's a delusion, man. You're not a star. The only stars I know are above me that God created. They're in the sky. They're beautiful. You can see them with telescopes sometimes. You don't star, man. It's a delusion that Hollywood came up with. You're just a person that's in a movie and you become famous. But just because you're not famous, don't you ever call yourself a nobody. You could say, well, I'm an unknown. That's fair to say. Unknown basically means that you're not famous. And the only reason people become famous is because they're in the movies and on television. And millions of people view them. So they become famous. I mean, they've even done pranks, videos that you can find on YouTube where they'll set it up just to create this illusion, and the person will come out of the limousine, and they have these extras pretending, and they're like, oh, taking pictures, and then people, they don't even know who this guy or girl is coming out of the limousine. They believe the illusion. Oh, I think I saw him in a movie. Yeah, he's famous. See, it's an illusion, man. You are important. You are amazing. Always remember that. Because God made you different. If everybody was the same, it would be a boring world. You will find that these famous people are just like you. They went through a lot of tears to get to where they are right now. But their fame and their money is not going to save them. So don't get caught up. Don't feel insecure. Don't feel inadequate. Don't feel like you're not important just because you're not famous or you don't have a lot of money or you're not a great actor or basketball or football player, professional. Fiddlesticks. So what? You're not a great singer, great actor. You're not a famous person, but you're important. And you're amazing. You're amazing. Always remember that. Because God made you different. Because if everybody was the same, it would be a boring world. A really boring world. Imagine if everybody was the same. It would be a boring world, my friend. You are unique in your own way. Always remember that. And if there's any issues you need to resolve, then resolve them. If you have a weight issue, then do something about it. If you have health issues, then do something about it because ain't nobody going to do it for you. So, what did we cover so far? Respect, trust, being a good listener, being generous. If I'm going to give a girl money, I don't need to publicize it and show off. I've seen it in my own eyes. I've seen guys, the girl asks them for money and they take out money out of their pocket and they're like bringing up their shoulders and picking up their head, acting like if they're giving them salvation. Are you kidding me? See, when I want to pay for something, I don't want nobody to know that I'm paying. I want to remain invisible because that's what love is. It's very important to be modest. And that's the thing. I can mention one celebrity that I think about right now, George Michael. Yeah, George Michael had issues, but he was a very generous person. He did a lot of charity work and the way he did it anonymously. He didn't want nobody to know that he gave. If you look it up, George Michael was a very generous person. So why in the world are you showing off because you're paying for the bill or I want to get something out of the girl if I'm going to pay for a bill. You're a creep if you think like that. If you think that just because you bought her a dinner, you have to get her in bed, you're a creep, and you don't deserve her. If I'm gonna take out a girl, the last thing on my mind is I want her to give me sex. You know, two people should get together if there's real love there. They should wait till they get married, but most likely it's hard for people to wait. But they should be faithful. Being faithful is another issue. Making sure that you're not walking with the girl and then you're turning your head and look at another girl's butt. That is not love. That's disrespect. If a girl catches you do that, she should bring it to your attention once. If you keep doing it again, she should drop you and say, bye-bye. Because there's too many guys and too many girls for a person to put up with that, tolerate that kind of behavior, that kind of crap. If you're with a girl, let her know you're with her. You shouldn't have no business looking at other girls. You have issues if you do that. So, being generous with a girl or a guy, let's say you're the girl, like Barbra Streisand, who married that actor, I can't think of his name, and she was Barbara Walters. Barbara Walters did an interview with Barbra Streisand, and she asked her, "It doesn't bother you that this guy had a $3 million death and you paid for it?" Barbra Streisand knows what love is. She says, "No, because I fell in love with the person." That's a real grounded woman Barbara Streisand. She's a multimillionaire. And she took this actor who lost it all, and she married him and paid for everything. That's what love is. And a guy should be the same way. A guy should not make a girl, a woman, feel bad just because he's paying for stuff. You don't do that. If I pay for anything for a young woman, I want to let her know, hey, I just want you to appreciate it, but you don't owe me anything. That doesn't give the guy the right to think that she should have sex with you. That's fiddlesticks. She doesn't owe you anything. That is your responsibility if you love her to be generous with her. And even if it doesn't work out, I can't stand it when guys, they they give girls gifts and then all of a sudden they have a big argument, they want it back. Are you kidding me? That's being really insecure and really immature for you to want to take something that you gave to someone. It's memories, man. Validate the young woman. She gave you her memories. Look, I validate all the women that I've ever dated, and I thank God for them. Like, what is it? To all the girls I've loved before, Julio Iglesias, and I forget who else sings it. It's Julio Iglesias, and I think Stevie Wonder. To all the girls I've loved before, they're all in my heart. I cherish. But anyway, we need to cherish the memories that we've had with those people. Validate them. Love people enough and love yourself enough to let them go. I always tell the girls that I've dated, listen, it happens. If one day you decide you fall out of love with me, let me know. Of course it's painful. Of course you're going to cry. Cry if you need to. But don't lose your head. Love that person enough to say, listen, you're always going to be in my heart, and I'm going to cry a little bit. I'm going to cry. Who knows how? Depends on the person how much you want to cry. But don't hold it in. Let it out. But love the person enough to let him go. And if it was meant to be, that person, just like the bird, will come back to you. Because if they leave you and then they go to another relationship, they're going to have you to compare them to. You see? This is why it's so important to love, respect, trust a person, listen to them, be generous with them without making a big deal or showing off, you know. And that's basically it. This is how you have a successful relationship. Also, you should be there for the person no matter what. You should be there for them no matter what, whether it's a health issue, a financial issue. You shouldn't look down on people just because they don't belong to a rich family. There's been a lot of stories like that in life where the parents don't want you with that girl because she doesn't belong to royalty because her family are poor. Or that girl doesn't want you, the family doesn't want you with that guy because he doesn't come from a rich family. That's wrong. No family has that right to do that. If the girl or the guy meets somebody that's a very decent person, hardworking, and respectful, they should be accepted in the family, whether the family's rich or not. Because what really matters is love. Because in the end, your money's not going to save you. What matters is love and respect. Taking time to do things with the person. Find out what the guy or the girl wants to do. Maybe the girl likes to play basketball. So go play basketball with her. Maybe the guy likes to go dance. So go dance with him. As long as it's not like crazy dance, like people smoking and doing drugs. Nice dance. They got nice dance places. Or maybe he likes to go fishing with him unless you get seasick. But if that's the case, you can stand near the pier and go fishing there. But what I'm saying is, do things with each other. Establish memories. So that, and when the girls need space, there's another thing that's important. Giving the girl or the guy space. Now, if the guy wants space because he wants to have other girls, eventually, if you find out, you let him go. Don't even look back. Because, being faithful to a person is very, very important. Being unfaithful, you can't have kids with a person that's unfaithful to you. If you don't want to be with the girl, don't don't mess it up for her. Give her a chance to find love. Let her go. If you can't be faithful to her. But don't use her. Because in the end, it'll come back to you. Believe me. Being faithful. If you're with that girl or that guy, remain faithful to that person. If you feel you have more feelings for someone else, then love that person enough to let them go. Don't play games with people's heart. It's wrong. It's very, very wrong. And believe me, it will catch up to you. You shouldn't use anybody or take advantage of someone's heart. It's wrong. So being faithful to a person is very, very important. I just want to make sure that I cover everything. When I speak, I just speak to try to make a difference. I don't try to sound smart, but I try to say things that you can relate to. Because if anything I said right now, you can't relate to it, then I lost you. I don't want to sound like a robot or Mr. Know-it-all because every day I try to learn. And again, always trying to improve yourself. Taking responsibility for the things that you shouldn't do or shouldn't say, or the things that you said and shouldn't have done. Taking responsibility by not doing them anymore will help you to become an incredible person. Also, it's also important to read a lot of books. If you don't like to read, maybe you fall asleep, maybe you're not such a good reader. Look, they got apps now that will scan the page and read it for you. Because knowledge is power, man. Knowledge is power. There's a lot of great books out there that the research that they had to do there's a lot of books about love. You don't always have to agree with all of them, but there's always something good you could get out of it. You could go on YouTube or so you get a lot of books. Read them. Read along with them with the app. Unless you don't want the app, you like to read. That's even better. That's fine. But gain knowledge, man. Pick up a lot of books. You wanna become a better cook? Start getting into cookbooks. You wanna become a better listener? Then start reading books about being a good listener. You have issues with trusting people? Then start reading books about how to trust people. Love yourself enough, man. Say, I love myself. I'm amazing. I'm important. I'm not going to try to control this person because that's not love. How could you live with yourself when you don't trust somebody? How could you live with yourself when you're trying to control that person? That's not love. The person will not flourish because you're going to make them feel uncomfortable. You're going to make them feel defensive. They're not going to want to love you anymore. They're going to want to get away from you, like the movie that I mentioned earlier, where my friend Julia Roberts was in, that I met her in the taxi years ago. Sleeping with the Enemy. I highly recommend that movie. Because this woman was married to this man, but she wanted out of the marriage. And you know why she couldn't get out of the marriage? Because she was living in fear. And to be with a guy that makes you want to be afraid of him, any guy that tells a girl, you will never leave me. Because if you do, if they say, if you do, you're going to get her or I'll kill you. You should call the cops on that guy. Or record him. Record what he says. A guy like that should be put in prison. He needs mental help. How dare you tell a woman? What kind of man does that? That doesn't make you a man. That makes you a coward. You don't know what love is. You need you need a lot of help. Someone to sit down with you, read a lot of books about what love is. How dare you tell that poor woman that if she can't have you, nobody will? You don't owe her. You're not God. You didn't create her. Not even her God who created her, who made the heavens and the earth, or her mom who gave her life, would never talk to her like that. Who in the world are you? Are you serious? They should put you in jail and you need serious therapy to tell her to threaten a woman or have a woman live in fear. That's not love. But the movie Sleeping in the Enemy is such a great story because it shows a poor woman that has a lot of love, but she's living in fear with a guy who's supposed to be her husband. Why in the world would a woman say yes to a man when he proposes to marry her? She wants to feel secure, man. She doesn't want to feel afraid of the person that she married because she's supposed to feel secure around you, safe around you. She's supposed to feel loved by you. It's like a bird. If I feed it, show it love, and then let it fly off, it'll come back to me. Because I didn't give it any reasons not to come back to me. So whoever is listening and has issues like this, you need to get on your knees right now and ask God to forgive you. And start reading books and how to do it right. Maybe you were abused as a child. That's why you're like that. You want to control the poor woman or have her live in fear. You have anger issues. Get help. You need it. And it doesn't matter to me whether you agree or you disagree. If you correct a wise person, they will become even wiser. Taking responsibility for the help and the areas that we need help in will help you a lot. It's power, man. You will grow. But if you're not willing to take responsibility for the things that you struggle with, the things that you need to improve, guess what? You're never going to grow. You're always going to stay like a dirty rag, filthy rag, because you never bother to wash your clothes or take a bath. But the Bible says, but only a foolish person does not heed correction, and that person will never grow. I could take criticism from a 3-year-old. I might learn something from a 3-year-old. Or even animals. You can learn things from animals. But I love it when people love me enough to correct me. But we should do it respectfully. If we're going to correct somebody, we shouldn't embarrass them. We should pull them to the side and do it nicely. When I see guys yelling at their girls in public or girls yelling at their guys in public, that's wrong. They need to stop that. If you have to have a discussion, take it outside or in the car respectfully. But don't you ever put your hands on that woman, because that makes you less than a man. It makes you way less than a man to think that you could put your hands on that woman. A real man does not put his hands on a woman. Do you understand me? And a woman also should keep her hands to herself. That's it. So to make a long story short, I hope this wasn't a little too radical for you, this podcast, but it's important if you apply it to your life. So loving yourself, to summarize everything, a person should love themselves and the other person enough to let them go if the person doesn't want to be with them. I've always told my girls that, and that's why they love me and we still communicate. I love you enough, Dorothy. I'll mention one of them to let you go. She was a beautiful Puerto Rican Irish girl. It doesn't matter. She could have been from Scotland, from Italy. It doesn't matter. There's good and bad in every race, and there's also the beauty. The beauty of the Chinese culture, the beauty of the Japanese culture, Spanish culture, European culture. There's always something beautiful to get out of somebody. I love every culture. But the point is, love yourself enough and love that person enough to let them go. Be kind to the person. Be kind to yourself. Give them memories. Cherish the memories that the person gave you, even if it's not meant to be for you to stay with that person. Because being in love is such an incredible life experience. To be with someone that trusts you, someone that you feel secure around, someone who compliments you, someone who says to you, you're amazing, you're important, that notices you, that validates you, that takes you out, that's generous with you. How in the world, and this is to this stupid myth that a lot of these dumb talk shows talk about, that it's the size of the guy's penis that determines if he's going to satisfy the girl. Fiddlesticks. You need to get a life with that concept. It is not the size of a guy's penis that's going to satisfy the girl. And I'll do a survey and I'll know I'll be right. It's the size of the heart, the cortisol. It's the way the guy treats the girl. If he loves her, trusts her, respects her, listens to her, if he's faithful to her, if he's generous with her, if he's gentle with her, if he's loving with her, he takes her out on trips, he just makes her feel secure, loved. The time that it's going to be when you and the girl to get together and make love, it will be real. Because I personally, when I want to make love with a girl that's cocky and snotty and full of herself, And that's rude. Why would you want to have sex with someone that's mistreating you? If you do, then it's just lust. But if you want to satisfy the girl, it's not the size of your private, it's the size of your cortisone, your heart. If you're making her feel loved and you're satisfying her emotionally, spiritually, physically, and financially. If you satisfy in those areas, then the physical part will, bam, it'll just happen real nice. You just kiss her and electricity will hit her whole entire body if you're loving her. If you're satisfying the other areas that I mentioned. So that's basically it. It's beautiful. It's wonderful to be in love. It's nice to be walking with someone you love, someone that listens to you, that validates you, that appreciates you, doesn't try to control you, doesn't want you to be live in fear like the movie Sleeping with the Enemy that Julia Roberts was in. A woman wants to feel so protected. She wants to feel loved, sheltered. Same as guys too, of course. And anyway, I hope that today's podcast, how to have a successful relationship, has been important. I hope that I was able to address the important issues. I hope that it will help you in your life. But taking responsibility, my friends, is so important. And remember, don't lose your mind over someone, whether it's a guy or girl. There's too many beautiful women in the world. In the world. The world is big. There's a lot of countries out there, different cultures, the beauty of different cultures. And there's too many men and women out there for you to lose your head over one person. You should never think you own that person. You do not own that person. If you love them enough, and I'll end with this, love them enough to let them go. And love yourself enough to let them go. You will find love again. Don't think you won't. There's a lot of beautiful people out there. And I know, because I've dated a couple of people. Anyway, I hope that today's podcast has been helpful to you. And until next time, remember, you are important and amazing. And until next time, bye bye. Bye bye.